All right. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Native, Marlo, Carolina, Corey, Federica, Edwin. Welcome in, guys. Top of the morning. How's everybody doing? Happy Monday. Everybody's waking up. I know it's early. Everyone's taking some time this morning. I can already tell. I already know the energy is going to be light. I can already feel it. It's Monday. Morning from Germany. Welcome in, Milla. We have a lot to go over. A big week ahead of us. Absolutely humongous week. We have major events ahead of us. We're going to talk about it. Wednesday session is going to be very big. Friday session, quad witching. We'll go over everything this morning. Welcome in. Crazy Friday session. If anyone was trading with us on Friday, it was crazy. It was an absolutely a battle. Long demand, no demand, and then finally demand steps in, upside reversion play, right? Crazy session on Friday. It was one that definitely was stressful, but it worked, right? The levels maintained, a little bit of some liquidity grabs at lows, but market ripped on Friday, and it turned out to be a nice Friday session. We're going to talk all about it, guys. We'll talk all about Friday session. We'll talk about the levels on SPY today. We'll talk about what's going on moving forward, right? I think, again, the reason why we're going to talk about Friday session is because the levels that were applicable on Friday are also applicable today. In fact, we're just going to trade off of a lot of what today's session is about is going to be simply off of the Friday's highs and the Friday's lows on SPY. We're going to talk about it. Really, Friday's low is 596. Anyway, we'll talk about it, guys. We'll talk about the ES chart, ES, big levels on ES going forward, 6080 ES, 6020 ES, major levels. On the QQQ 532, colossal level. We're going to talk about Tesla. Tesla's strong, right? Something about Tesla strong. You're seeing a strong maintenance on Tesla, and Tesla has juice. Can Tesla break out? That's the question today. Tesla bull flag. We'll talk about Apple. We'll go over the Apple chart on Tesla. Can Apple break 200? Can Apple break 195, 196? What can Apple do this week going forward? We'll talk about Amazon. Amazon level strong, 214 as your Friday's highs. If it breaks 214, we go higher. We'll talk about it. We'll go over Nvidia 135 or 145. Major level and a lot of pressure building here on Nvidia's chart. Why is it building pressure? Because it's doing what it did previously. Remember we said previously Nvidia was in consolidation for a long time before a breakout. Well, it's still in consolidation. Nvidia still may break out. We'll talk about Nvidia today. We'll go over AMD, AMD 122, 116. We'll go over SMH. The SMH tick level is 260. And we'll finish off going over tickers that you guys are watching. Again, it's a big week. We have a lot to go over this morning session. What I want to do first is I want to talk about our week ahead of us. So today is Monday, June the 16th. In today's session, we have some data. We have the 30-year bond settlement that happens today. It's not particularly data. It's not data per se, but it is a bond settlement. 8:30 a.m. manufacturing index about 6 minutes ago. 20-year bond auction at 1 o'clock. So today you do have a little bit of data, mostly centered around 1 o'clock. That's all we have on the docket for today. Going into Tuesday's session. Tuesday, you can see retail sales, import and export prices, business inventories, housing market index, more data sprinkled in throughout the day. And then Wednesday's session, we'll talk about this on Wednesday, but Wednesday session, we have the FOMC announcement. Okay, that is going to be big. You guys already know what that is. That is the interest rate decision where the reserve is expected to do a no change. We'll talk about that going into our Wednesday session. Again, though, we have a big week ahead of us. Thursday, we have market closure for Juneteenth. And then Friday, we have a quad witching day, which I think it's a full day on Friday, but it is a quad witching day going into our Friday session Friday session. Okay, so very big week ahead of us in terms of econ data. We also have Robotaxi event this week. I'm not sure exactly what day it is, but it's predicted to be released either this week or next week. In terms of earnings reports, you can see earnings reports, nothing too much, there's nothing at all, right? Nothing on the docket for this earnings report. In fact, we're probably just gonna close this out because this is the last time we're talking earnings until maybe sometime in July, right? So let's dive into our charts. We have a lot to go over this morning. It's Monday morning. You guys know Monday, we spend a lot of time talking about ETFs. So last week, we stayed in range. If you guys are having a hard time trading in ranges, it's because the market's trading in ranges, right? The market hasn't really made up much of a move. It stayed between 598 and 603 for the most part since Friday of last week, Friday of almost really 2 weeks ago, into last week's session, Monday. And on Monday morning, we stayed in that sort of range, this little consolidation all week. It was a consolidation week. Nothing happened last week of particular importance, right? We just sort of moved from channel lows to channel highs, channel lows, channel highs. On Friday's session, we moved to channel low. And you can see Friday session, we pulled back to 597.50, which is our demand on that Friday open. We pulled back to demand. We sort of chopped around it low for a little bit, broke down underneath it, reclaimed it, and market went from demand back into supply. Last week was a very uneventful week. Okay, kind of repeating myself here, but you can see nothing really happened. No levels were broken. We just respected our demand lows and respected our supply highs. Now, moving forward, the same levels that were applicable last week are also applicable this week. Why is that the case? Because nothing broke last week, right? We simply just have to understand our level of demand going into our Monday morning session is going to be our Friday's highs and our Friday's lows. Friday's highs is 602. Okay, that was a high of Friday's session. That's our big supply ahead of us. And where are we opening? We're opening right at 602 this morning. So 602 is our key level of supply going into our Monday morning session. Our demand is two-pronged, okay? We have demand at 59750, which if you guys recall, that's where we longed on Friday's session. This is where we longed on Friday's session, that level, that white level right here, right? So we longed on Friday's session. And our real level, the big level to watch out for, is the last week lows. The last week lows is 595, 595.50. So again, if you're trading today's session, the three levels of major importance: 1, 602, 2, 598, 597.50, and 3, last week lows, 595. And again, the theme of today's session is base today's trading session off of the levels from Friday. Because the highs of Friday's session at 602 and the lows of Friday's session at 595, those are the two big levels. In between these two big levels, you have the level we went long at, 59750, but this is not the major level. The major level is this and is this. If the market stays in this range this week, it's going to be a very bad week. Just understand that. Let's just get that out there right now so we understand our expectations for this week. Our expectations are quite low for this week if we do this, right? Because if we just do this, we're going to have another week of consolidation similar to the consolidation we had last week. So again, the levels we must respect are the same levels from Friday's highs and the Friday's lows of last week. If we are below 602 and above 595, we are in consolidation. What if you want for bullish momentum today, you want to see us break and hold above 602. If we clear 602, we see an upside play back into 60350, the Thursday's highs. And then above 60350, we see a move back into 606, which is our Wednesday's highs. We have a lot of levels ahead of us. But the consolidation is simply still 602 to 595. If we can break 602, I think that's where we get some free-flowing upside back into these highs and these highs there. Those are the two key levels going into our session ahead of us for upside, okay? And remember, guys, CPI highs is here at 606. That's a CPI highs, very big level of resistance. Above 606, we go back into all-time highs, 610, 611, and you guys know the real all-time highs is actually here at 614, 613.15. I think it's the actual all-time high level. You can see 613.15 is the actual all-time high. So we are right there, right? If we start this week off with some bullish momentum, we see us clear above 603, 603.50, right? 602 first, and then these highs over here, we could very quickly see 606 CPI highs. But then above 606, it's very quick move to all-time highs here, 610, 611, okay? Those are the levels going forward. Again, big levels ahead of us. We must understand that going into a Friday session. On the ES chart, it all comes back down to 60-80 in ES. This is the major level on ES's chart. If we can clear 60-80 ES, we should get some bullish momentum back into these highs over here, 6100 ES. And then above 6100, we go back into 6127. Again, This is not very fun right now, right? Again, this is not, many of you guys are probably coming into the session like, wow, he's been talking about the same thing for days and days and days. And it's really true. I have been saying the same thing over and over again. I just keep saying the same levels of resistance, the same levels of support. And the reality is, the reason why we have to do that is because the market has been doing what? It's been sitting in this range for way too long. The market's going to break out of this range, whether it's an upside break or a downside break. Right now, off the pre-market, it looks more like an upside break, right? If we can clear above 60.80 here ES, we should see upside back into 6100 plus. The only bear case scenario I have today on the ES chart, right? The real bear case scenario would be this, and this is very important. We must understand this. If the ES chart breaks 60.80 and we see a sharp failure below it, that for me would be a bear case trade. We can look for shorts back in 60.50. If I were to correlate this to SPY, right, and this is not right, the CPI highs is back over here. If I were to correlate this to SPY's chart, 60.80 failure would be the same thing as us saying 602 failure. So the only short play I really like today would be if we got a break above 602 and we failed 602 sharply. If we do that, that's going to get a lot of those longs to get stopped out and a downside play. So again, kind of similar to what happened on Friday's session. Remember Friday's session? Remember what happened Friday, right? This was so clear. We long demand, we stopped out here at support as we broke under our demand zone. We stopped out right there. Market then reclaimed. We got back in demand as a reclaimed demand, upside trade, right? So what happened last week was simply just a liquidity grab for shorts, right? We stopped out all the longs, right? Maybe shorts went to go short that level. The shorts got stopped, big upside, right? Today's session, SPY's chart, the only bear case that I would really look for is this. Same thing that happened on Friday, but happening on Monday in inverse. If we clear 602, fail below 602, that's a short, obviously, right? And then again, on the complete flip, if we clear above 602, that's where upside lies for a move back at 603.50. So again, basically all I'm saying today is spend your time focusing on 602 today. Depending on how we react here at 602, this is going to yield either a long entry or a short entry. Again, very simple. We must understand 602 is the big level. On the QQQ chart, it's 532, right? If we are above 532, we move back into 535. If we do the same thing I was saying on SPY's chart, if we see a break and failure at 532, downside comes in. So the level we must respect going into our Monday morning session is simply 532. If we are above 532, we're bullish. If we're below 532, we're mostly bearish, right? That should be our level going forward. On Friday's session, the level we maintained was 526. This was something that I was keeping an eye on Friday. The reason why even when SPY broke demand on Friday's session, when we broke demand on Friday's session, and I stopped out of my longs on Friday because I went long here at 598. 598.50. I longed more at 597 and change, right? And then when we broke 597.50 and I stopped out of my long position, I still was looking for longs in the market, but I was only looking for longs if he reclaimed. And the reason why was not really because of SPY's chart. It was because the QQQ chart was maintaining 526. Remember in Friday's session, we said 526 was a very important level. The big level was 532 and 526. Big demand lows, big supply highs. Even though, and this is so important, sometimes you may see SPY breaking a level, but Qs are not, right? And you may think that's a short on SPY if SPY is breaking support, but it simply is not until Qs break that same level, right? And that was a clear level on Friday's session. Now, on Monday's session, we must respect 532. This is also really important. I know I say a lot of things, but this is really important. If you see SPY break 602 today, but QQQ is not breaking the Friday's highs, that is not a long yet, okay? That's a very important thought. You want to see a break both on the QQQ chart and the SPY chart because oftentimes you saw this happen a lot last week. You saw a SPY break the level, Qs didn't, market reversed. Or you saw Qs break the level, SPY didn't, Qs reversed, and the market obviously reversed with it, right? So again, going into our session now, you must, especially in consolidation periods like what we're in right recently, you must look to see what's going on Qs and SPY in tandem, right? You don't want to be trading SPY puts while Qs are sitting at support at 526. So again, on this Monday morning session, the level to watch out for is 532 big resistance. That would be our Friday's highs, and our Friday's lows is 526. Those are your big levels. Level 1, level 2. I have a level here at 530, but to be honest with you, this is not an important level. This was a level from last week. For me going forward, I'm going to have this removed in my chart. The big two levels, 532, 526. If we can clear 532, we see 535. If we clear 535, we move back into our CPI highs, which is at 537.50, which should be our Wednesday's highs. That was our big CPI 8:30 a.m. data, and that's where the market goes to if we can clear above 532 and 535. Okay, those are the big levels of resistance ahead of us going forward on the Qs chart, on the SPY chart, on the ES chart. Now let's dive into NQ. A little bit of NQ action here. I know you guys love NQ for whatever reason, but it's basically the same thing, right? You have our 532 level, which would be simply our Friday's highs, 2270, right? 2270 here on the NQ chart. Our lows was on the Friday session. Our lows came in around 21,840. So adjusting for that low now, 21,840 here NQ, and then 22,070 here at NQ. Those are the big levels here on the NQ chart. Fancy, thank you very much, Fancy. Yes, we will go over OKLO, OKLO. Absolutely, thank you very much. All right, so again, kind of repeating myself here, but 2270 here on NQ, 21,840 demand. That's our Friday's lows, Friday's highs. If we get above our Friday's highs, we move back into these highs over here, 22,000. 22,000, and then above 22,000, we go back into our CPI highs here at 22,325. Again, I know that recently when I've been going over these ETFs, it's been a lot of the same stuff. It's been a lot of, hey, we're bearish here, hey, we're bullish there. For the past week or so, it's been like this. I hope at some point it changes, but you guys have to understand something. I can't come in here on a Monday morning at 8:49 a.m. and I'm not going to say, guys, this looks spectacular. We're going to long this because it's super incredibly bullish and this is what the market's telling us. I can't do that when the market's in range, right? The market is hot sometimes and the market is not so hot sometimes. Now, granted, we had a nice week last week because we respected our levels and we had a good time. But if you look at last week, it actually was not all much. It was just simply consolidation, okay? So you guys must understand that. Go into today's session with low expectations because again, if we get a range break, then obviously we'll make a lot of money. But if we don't get a range break, then you're gonna be sitting patient and collecting data on this Monday morning session. Okay, so let's go over our charts. Let's start off with the first firework, Tesla. Tesla to me now looks good. Remember I said on Wednesday session, guys, Wednesday session we saw a big failure. We pushed back into resistance here at 336. And then we failed it very aggressively. Remember, we said that Wednesday session, it was kind of a dead chart. Why? Because we just reversed the whole trade back into those lows. Remember, we saw a crazy downside move following the Elon Musk and Trump arguments, right, on social media. Then we saw the downside come in, and then we sort of reversed all the way back into the mean right before that downside came in. And then now we're simply right back at 336. Going forward now, the big level I think we should watch out for in Tesla, and this could be a good trade today. This actually looks like a nice trade, is if we get a clearance over 336. If Tesla can clear 336, I think we should see upside back into 350 today. So for me, going forward, I'm watching 336, break and retest, upside trade. Could you get an earlier entry here? This is an argument I want you guys to understand. This is actually an argument here. If you trade above 332, you could trade this earlier than 336 breakout, and you could try it for an early trade here above 332 and an upside trade back in 336. This could be a potential trade here, trading off of the Friday's highs and the Thursday's highs and the Wednesday level. For me though, my main focus this week on Tesla is going to be 336. The CPI highs, 336. If we can clear it, break and retest, upside trade. Upside back into 350. Watching Tesla today as a very nice chart moving forward. Okay, that's Tesla. For downside, I don't really like downside on Tesla unless it clears under these lows over here, 319. If Tesla loses 319, that's where I shift back to a bearish momentum, bearish sentiment, downside play comes in. So again, right now, mostly bullish on Tesla as long as it's above 319. Okay, let's move on, guys. Let's go over Nvidia. Nvidia's chart. Nvidia is a pressure cooker, right? This is building, and this may be a nice ticker to watch out for going forward as well. Why is it a nice ticker? Because again, just like the overall market, this name has been relatively sideways for way too long. Okay, you've seen the sideways action from May 13th all the way to the breakout period, May 28th. That was about 15 days worth of price action, worth of consolidation. Now, so far, we've seen a very similar amount of consolidation. The consolidation from June the 3rd to where we're at right now has been about 12 days going into 13 days. I think that Nvidia could see a big move soon, either upside or downside. Now, obviously, that's very easy to say that, but where does this move come in? If we clear above 145, this is our macro breakout. 145 macro breakout. If we clear this level, I think we see all-time highs. 150 and then possibly even 153.50, which again would be our all-time high level. Again, zooming out here for a second, right? Remember the highs back over here, the double top highs? Well, that's what we're going to. If we can clear 145, I think we don't really have much level of resistance until 150 and then 153.50. Okay, so again, this could be a very nice macro breakout trade going into a week ahead of us. If this fails, the only failure point I'm watching here on Nvidia would be a move under 142. Remember on Friday session, one of the main reasons why I like longs across the market was I said what? What did we say yesterday? We said 142, break and reclaim liquidity grab. This is also a trade idea from Friday session. As long as you're holding 142, it was bullish, and now we're seeing it back to these highs again. This is a pressure cooker waiting to build. If it can clear 145, upside. You could even trade it before 145. If you want to be a bit surgical, kind of like Tesla, right? Remember we said Tesla with that 332 level. If you want to be surgical today, you could do this as well. You could watch for the, what am I doing? Nvidia. You could watch for the, I almost forgot to take yours off. You can watch the 143.50 level. If we clear 143.50, you can look for upside back at 145. The real breakout level though, guys, we must understand this is a 145 breakout. If that happens, big upside comes in. For downside, we must trade this downside under 145.50. If this clears under 145.50, that's where I look for downside, and I can look for a nice clearance move down lower. Where do we move to? Under 141.50. We move back down into 140.5, and we move back down to 138 level. Okay, those are the levels ahead of us. So again, if you're going to trade Nvidia, you're really just doing this. You're saying, I'm going to trade it between these above this level or below this level, above the red box or below the red box. That for me is how I'm focusing moving forward into my Monday session. Okay. So, could you argue you want to see it clear 141? Yeah, that is the Monday, the Friday's lows. But for me, it's really that 141. I think it's really 141.50 for me. Why? Because that's that big support zone, right? I understand 141 is a level as well from Friday session, but for me, it's really 141.50. Okay, those are the big levels for me. Again, the reason why is because that's that big level, that big hourly, big daily level here on the chart. Okay, so. We have 1,300 people here this morning, and out of the 1,300 people, we have 300 likes, which is absolutely diabolical. We need to get the like count up. I'm gonna take a hydration break, and I'll wait till we get at least 400 likes. We'll take a little bit of a break here, a little bit of a pit stop. All right, where is everybody? Why is everybody sleeping in? I feel like everybody's sleeping in this morning. There's like very little energy this morning in the chat. Usually I have people spamming tickers and everyone's going crazy. Where is everybody? Eli Lilly? Sorry, I've been listening. That's okay. That's all right. I know it's Monday. Everyone's kind of a little bit sleepy on Monday session. HIMS, HIMS, Netflix. All right. Let's move. Friday hurt some feelings. Yeah, you're never gonna. You can't call yourself a real trader if you haven't had a day like Friday. If you haven't been in a trade like this, if you have never been like this, is the biggest thing, right? Big support zone. Everyone's watching the big support zone, right? Stock long pulls right back to your big support zone. You long support, right? Oh my God, I'm longing support. I get in position here. I add more there. Bam, stopped out, and then all of a sudden this happens. Little FU candle. If you've never been in a position like this, you're not a real trader, right? That's just simply that. This is going to happen to you. If it hasn't happened to you yet, it's going to happen to you soon. You're just waiting for it, but it's going to happen, and that's where the upside comes in, right? That was Friday's session. If you long the demand, you had to get in the reentry. That was simply the battle on our Friday session. But of course, that's what the market does. It's gonna absolutely brutalize you. Okay, so. All right. Yeah, we have enough likes now. We have plenty of likes. So let's move on. AMD. On the AMD chart, yeah, last week's session was 116. Kind of similar to what we had on Nvidia is what we have on AMD. 116, big support. That was what we held on Friday's session. Now moving forward, we have resistance here at 118.5. 118.5 clears. We have upside back to 122. To be honest with you, I don't have any clarity right now here on this chart. This is a chart I want to collect more data on, right? Could this be a beautiful head and shoulders right now? Could this be your beautiful head and shoulders? Yes, it potentially can be, right? I think that this is still holding support. It's beginning to hold above 118.5, but you can see very clearly the level to watch out for this session is 119.50, okay? And this could be a beautiful head and shoulders here off 119.5 for a short opportunity, right? And so I would give this time. I don't have clarity here, and we must see what happens. If you see it reject off 119.5 today, this could be a beautiful head and shoulders trade, and you could look for a downside play back at 116, right? So again, here in AMD, I don't have much clarity. And Nvidia, I do have clarity. Nvidia, the levels are pretty clear, 143.5, 141.50, right? But in AMD's chart, I can see the hold coming in, but I can very clearly see the head and shoulders. We must understand that. I don't like longs in this chart unless this gets above 119.5. If it clears 119.5, that's where upside can come in here. And we can look for a high breakout trade back at 122. Joshua, thank you, Joshua. I hope this week is better for you, man. I hope this week is better for you. Anyway, so Meta. On the Meta chart 694, 695. For me, this is actually mostly a bear chart, right? The reason why this is a bear chart right now is because if you analyze this as an uptrend, right, this would be a downtrend. Why? Because we are forming higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. We formed a lower low here, right? And we are now forming rejections here, forming lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. Right now on Meta's chart, we are bearish as long as we are under 694. So the only trade I'd be watching out for now would be, at this point, would be a 694 breakout if market can flip, or it would be a 694 rejection trade. That can happen. Or you can look for shorts under 680. 680 short breakdown trade. This could be a nice move lower. So again, this is what I'd be focused on today, right? Look to see 694 for rejections or 680 for breakdowns. I don't like longs in this chart as long as we are below this 694 level. It's a very important idea here. This chart is bear side facing as long as you're under 694. Now that could change if we clear 694, but as of right now, this is bear side facing. Is this a double bottom? No, yeah, I see the double bottom here, but the main picture is that it's still forming these lower highs, okay? That's what I'd be looking at going forward. And whoa, what's going on here? Something's going on here. Is that SPY reacting? SPY moving higher? This is Meta. This is just Meta. This is something just happened on Meta as I'm saying this. Something just happened on Meta. News just came out of Meta. That has to be news. What is going on here? We are now reacting to this supply here, 694 level. So again, that's your level, right? If we are above 694, bullish here. So keep this in mind. You're seeing a potential very strong reclaim going into our session. This must be news, right? Yeah, what kind of timing is that? I'm looking to see if I can find out what the news is, but market is liking it, right? So again, if you're going to trade this Meta chart today, simply just respect 694. If we're above this level, look today, now look for this. Look to see if this is a break and retest upside trade. If we start holding here, this is your hold spot, okay? This is your flip from now, bull chart, the bear chart, back to bull chart, okay? So again, keep that on the back burner. And if it clears 705, if this clears 705, 705 clears, we go back into 716, 710, and then 716. This could be a nice chart to watch, and you're seeing a lot of momentum here on this name. So the news this morning, I actually don't have news. I don't even see the news. People are saying it's an AI commitment. It's an AI commitment. AI commitment for Meta. Okay, interesting. We'll see what happens. Let's watch Meta today. That could be a nice watch going forward. Meta, keep Meta on the back burner. Watch the 694 level of Meta. Okay. So moving on. Apple chart. Apple has been a bit dead recently. It's been a bit slow. 200 was a level we spoke about on our Friday session. 200 as major level. If 200 can clear, we can look for upside, right? My main focus on Apple is going to be if this can clear 200, look for longs back into 203. If we don't clear 200, there really is no trade for me, right? Here it is. Oppenheimer adjust PT to 775 from 665. So you're seeing a PT upgrade from Oppenheimer. That's what it is. Okay, so it is a PT upgrade. I think that's what the market's reacting to. Anyway, so that's your Meta, guys. On the Apple chart, 200 is your clear level, right? This has been structuring lower. We spoke a lot about Friday breakouts here on Apple, and this was part of the reason why market moved down so quickly on Friday session. 200 failed. This morning, watch for 200 to break out. If we can break 200, look for upside back at 202, okay? That's the only long side trade that I have here on the Apple chart, okay? Likewise, for shorts, I would trade this short under yesterday's lows, under Friday's lows. So for me going forward, my main watches on Apple are going to be either a breakdown under 196 or a breakout above 200. That's how I plan to trade this chart. Either this breakdown under 196, under a Friday's lows, short move back down to 193, or a long side trade above 200, upside back into 202. Those are the two trades I'm watching here in Apple's chart, either above the highs or below the lows. Very simple chart here moving forward on this ticker. Okay, so yes, they were absolutely listening. They were absolutely listening, and they are going crazy right now. They are going crazy. This is a chart to watch now. I mean, absolutely, right? This clears 705. This could be a really nice long opportunity. Let's see what happens here on Meta, guys. Meta is going to be obviously volatile. I haven't traded Meta in a long time. This could be a solid session. It could be an interesting session. Maybe I get smacked in the head with a textbook on Meta. Meta for me has always been a tough one to trade because it just moves so aggressively. But we'll watch it. Let's see how it is. Anyway, PLTR. Let's go over tickers you guys are watching, guys. Let's go over as much as we can go through before we end today. PLTR, previous highs, 139, right? This is your level now. I mean, PLTR absolutely ripped. I think Ravidai spoke about 134 on Friday session. It broke out on Friday. I wish we just did this. We would have had a much easier session on Friday session. If we just long PLTR, imagine just long PLTR above 134. This could have been a very nice and easy session. Little 134 breakout trade, upside back into 140. I mean, this was an incredible long on Friday. Going forward now, the level to watch out for is 139. Look for longs off 139. If you can long 139, upside. If we lose 139, we fail back lower into the demand lows of a Friday session of 133.50. Okay, big level here, big level there. But for now, watch 139, 139. Your big level, your big retest level going into our Monday session. Okay. So let's move on, guys. Let's go over the plug chart. Plug. I mean, I don't even know why I'm going over plug, but we'll do it. Plug, big daily level, big level. You can see weekly level at $1, right? Look, if you're trading plug, to be honest with you, right, you're just doing this on equity, right? Buy some shares, have a stop loss under 80 cents. You're risking 50 cents per share. Your reward is back into these highs over here. I don't know anything fundamentally about this energy name, but I do see that there is demand stepping up here, and this would be a pure risk reward trade. It's a dead chart though. It is a dead chart. This is a dead chart. Look, we're not talking about this chart getting back into 12 or 14, right? This is just a little reversion trade off of a dollar, right? If it can move back into $2 and change, right? That's you take some profit off, you make some money, right? This is a pure risk reward trade. Could I see it being a good RR trade? Yeah, long $1, stop under 80 cents, look for $2 plus. Okay, so let's move on. OKLO, OKLO. OKLO chart 59 is your clear level, right? This is your most obvious break and retest level moving forward. Okay, you have a beautiful hourly level here at 59, a low 57. On our Monday session, you can see we simply just sold right off into that level, and now we are beautifully bull flagging above the highs here. This is an absolute beautiful long chart right now. Where do we go long? We look for longs above 69. If we can clear 69, look for long trade breakout. Or we can also look for the 5-9 pullback long. This to me would be the better trade. Look for longs back into demand here. That's the better opportunity. If we clear above 69, you have an upside trade back into these highs over here, which is 70.8. And above 70.8, where does it go to? It's an all-time high push, right? It's an all-time high push. This is a PDM move, a price discovery mode move, and you could look for a high push here. So again, Oklo actually looks like quite like a nice chart. Okay, MRK. I'm long MRK. My intention here at MRK, to be honest with you, is add more because I think this is going to. I think this will probably fail. I think this will probably go lower. The reason why is because we have big resistance, big resistance, big resistance, right? 82 is big resistance if we can clear it. Upside back at 96. But as of right now, 82 is acting as big resistance. And I think this probably goes back at 73. I will long more at 73 and look for upside there. That's my intention right now here on the MRK. Okay. But right now, obviously, the larger idea here, the reason why I am long is because it's a beautiful weekly daily chart here on MRK. Okay. Guys, thank you all for joining in. Look, it's Monday morning. This is the start of the week. It's June 16th. Let's take it easy. You know, you got to understand Monday is for collecting data, right? You don't want to be the first person 9:32 and 35 seconds into the morning session. I'm long Nvidia full port. I'm long Tesla full port, right? Give it some time, right? Give it some time. If you want to give yourself the first 15 minutes, first 20 minutes today, get directional bias, and then take the trade when you see it set up. Guys, thank you all for joining in. And I'll see you guys all for live trading. Happy and safe trading. Bye, guys.